Hi, welcome to another edition of Social News Interviews. I'll be your host today, Erock Christopher. And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing search engine optimization. Over the last few years, search engines like Bing and Google have made tremendous strides in their technology in an effort to be able to decide which websites should rank the best. As a result, a lot of SEO experts are trying to keep up with all these changes. So we reached out to an ex-Microsoft programmer who claims to be able to disrupt the SEO industry and be able to help SEO experts do a better job at providing results. So welcome to today's episode, none other than Mr. Ted Kubaitis. Ted, welcome to today's episode.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Well, we appreciate you being here. So, Ted, you're saying that you have developed a new software, CORA SEO software, that is able to help SEO experts demystify SEO using scientific data and influence Google's and Bing's search engine results. So, Ted, would you mind sharing with our audience a little bit more about your software and how you plan to disrupt the SEO industry?
Yeah, CORA SEO software measures over 520 on-page and off-page SEO factors. This is a software solution that you run on your desktop, both Macs and PCs. And it gives you valuable insights into how your website's SEO tuning empirically differs from that of your competitors.
Amazing. So, Ted, do you mind sharing with our audience, a little bit more about your background and your expertise, and perhaps how you wound up to be able to create this new SEO software?
Yeah, I go all the way back to the beginning of the graphical web. So I got my start at the National Center for Supercomputing Applications. I had the office across the hall from Mark Andreessen. I was not on the browser team, but I was in the software tools group. Later on, I worked at Microsoft, where I worked for a rocket scientist, one of the engineers from the Boeing Delta II days. And I worked in a marketing group there, so we did lots of solutions to solve marketing-related problems with a high degree of consideration for concepts like payload. I eventually got into online retail and later started my own software company in the area of competitive intelligence called QL2. I have technology patents. Eventually I realized that most people weren't doing SEO the way I was doing SEO. I always assumed that people were measuring the competition and figuring out empirically how they differ from everyone else. And I quickly realized that that isn't the case, and that there was a market need for a tool to be able to gather and analyze those measurements.
Well, awesome. So obviously you have extensive experience, having obviously been a programmer in the past with some major companies, obviously associating with people who have had tremendous impact and influence on the development of the internet. So Ted, a lot of people are going to be curious as to know, what inspired you to want to start SEO Tool Lab, the company you're the founder of, and what are some of the core values that you would share with your audience? I mean, a lot of people don't know, if with new technology, if they can trust the company, their level of expertise, what kind of support they might receive, and they just want to know, can this person, do they have core values that I can align with? So what are some of the core values at SEO Tool Lab?
Well, I think you hit upon it exactly. I mean, trust first and foremost. SEO as an industry has a trust problem. And I want to bring that trust back to the industry as a whole. And the way you do that is by using scientific method and data-driven methods. We need to bring the facts back to the table and get rid of all of the faith-based SEO practices out there where people rely solely on what has worked for them in the past without any regard to what actually works now. So restoring that is probably the most key element. And then the other thing that we need to deliver with this technology is real advantage. We need the software to work, we need the results to be real, and we need the advantage that the tool set delivers to be real. And I think we deliver on that promise.
Awesome. We did a little bit of research, Ted, and we discovered that one of the things that you're passionate about is actually empowering SEO experts to be able to provide better results for their clients. Would you mind sharing a little bit of insight as to why that's important to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Within the SEO space, there are a number of platforms and tools out there, and it's a common problem that I've heard from many SEOs that their clients tend to confuse the value that the SEO delivers versus the value of, any given tool that the SEO is using. So, for example, I've heard people say that a client noticed that they're using Moz, so why do they need the SEO when they can just get a $100 Moz subscription? And because of those types of issues that SEOs encounter, we need to be able to empower the SEOs to show the value that they, as the experts in their field, deliver versus the value that a given tool set delivers. And so I want to empower SEOs to be able to make those demonstrations and to perform their jobs at a much higher level with much greater success. So I'm all about empowering the SEO, not replacing the SEO with a generic tool set.
Oh, well, thank you for your insights. And if you're just joining us again here today on this edition of Social News Interviews, we're with an ex-Microsoft programmer, Ted Kabaitis, who's the founder of SEO Tool Lab, who aims to disrupt the SEO industry with his brand new technology, the CORA SEO software. So Ted, obviously you have big ambitions on how you plan to disrupt the SEO industry, and with your CORA SEO technology, obviously you must feel very confident in your ability to provide results for the people who are using your software. So please share with our audience, Ted, can you share some success stories or examples of how people and SEO experts have used your tool in order to help improve their online visibility?
Yes, absolutely. Largely, our customers are technical SEOs who work for agencies or who are in-house SEOs. These SEOs have gotten great results so far. What typically happens is they'll find a keyword that they're stuck on, that they're trying to improve the ranking for. They'll run our software and compare their factor measurements for the URL they're trying to rank with the factor measurements of like the top of page 1 results. And then based on the deficits they have and the factors that appear to matter, they make changes to their website. And many of these customers often see results within a matter of days. So the turnaround can be very quick if your website is already indexed and is in good standing. So we had one that was a law firm. So this SEO was only doing SEO for law firms. And he ran the tool and got the results and followed the recommendations from the output. And he saw like a 17 position lift in about 24 hours. And what really blew him away wasn't so much the increase in rankings, it was the improvement to their organic traffic. So being in a law firm and targeting law firm keywords, those are some of the highest cost per click terms in paid advertising. So that targeted organic traffic came at huge value to those clients. And we've seen similar results for plumbers where we would look at the difference between the factors in different service areas for a plumber. So if they worked in 4 different towns within the region, we'd look at the SEO factors in each town for their keywords. And we would quickly see that, this town isn't ranking well because the degree of tuning required for one city might have been much higher than the degree of tuning required for the other cities. Those types of insights are critical to being able to rank well and to rank affordably. Other areas of success involve knowing when to stop tuning. So people will often keep tuning the same factors over and over and over again. But if you're already better than the best measurement on page one, maybe you should focus on a different factor. And our measurement tool tells you exactly when to stop tuning the various factors and to move on to other areas so you don't overinvest in places that aren't going to bring returns.
Amazing. It's fantastic to hear that your new CORA SEO software tool is helping companies to improve their online search engine optimization efforts so that they can in turn help more of their clients and customers. And so, Ted, obviously, I'm going to put you in the hot seat here for a second. A lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, typically love to tell about their success stories and usually aren't willing to be transparent or honest about some of the failures or mistakes or maybe some of the lessons they've learned along the way. So coming from a background of having worked with prestigious companies such as Microsoft and the other organizations that you've regarded or referenced in the past, would you be willing with our audience today to share some of the mistakes or failures or lessons that you've learned during this process of developing this new CORA SEO software and how it's benefited perhaps the end users?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the real question is which mistakes. There have been so many. But probably the biggest ones in terms of SEO would relate to match types. So for the longest time in traditional SEO, people look at exact match search terms, and they rank their pages by putting their exact match search terms all over the place. But it turns out there are different types of words that Google looks at. So when you search Google, in many browsers, they'll make the relevant hits bold. It's Google's way of saying, look at how relevant our search results are for the search term you entered. And if you analyze those, you quickly learn that there are variants of your search term that are critical to ranking well. So singular, plural form, there'll be word stemming, different conjugations of words, and synonym lookups. And it appears that there's also some entity recognition. And all of those variations of the search term end up being the matches you need to use on page, not just your exact search terms. So it took a while to learn that that's what we needed to be doing. And so there's a long period of time where we learned those lessons. And another area would be over-tuning. For years and years, we had focused on what we believed were the strongest signals, but it turns out things change from keyword to keyword in very drastic ways. So you really have to take the measurements for your specific keyword. I used to be on board with a lot of the correlation studies that the other SEO companies would do, where they analyze 1 million keywords and correlate the factors. And I'm totally going a different way today. I think what they're doing is a mistake. They're giving you the average advice for the average internet keyword, and it's very unlikely that that's what you're trying to rank for. So you really need to do the measurements on a per keyword basis and not average everything together and destroy your data. And because of all of that, I've become very skeptical of broad SEO advice. And just like every other SEO out there, if the majority of the SEO community would say something is true, I would be inclined to think that, well, that's probably true. Otherwise, why would everybody say it? But it turns out people are just hopping on the bandwagon and repeating what other advice, famous SEOs tend to say. And a lot of the time it tends to be wrong. When you do experiments or measure the data, it turns out not to be true. And so I've made many of those kinds of mistakes in the past, as I would imagine many SEOs have.
Well, excellent insights. Thank you for your response on that, Ted. And if you're just joining us again on today's edition of Social News Interviews, we're here with the founder of SEO Tool Lab, Ted Kabaitis, who is an ex-Microsoft programmer who's aiming to disrupt the SEO industry with his brand new SEO software, the CORA SEO software tool. And so, Ted, I'd like to put you here on the spot. You know, big ambitions, people looking to, potentially find new software that can help them succeed in their SEO efforts. Perhaps you could do a quick demonstration. You're making the claim that basically your software can analyze Google search engine results and the rankings, and basically in a matter of minutes, prepare data and information that an SEO expert could utilize to their advantage to improve their search engine visibility rankings. And so I'm going to put you on the spot, Ted. Would you mind doing a short demonstration if you're making this bold claim that your software can actually provide this data in a matter of minutes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and since I'm putting you on the spot, we'll go ahead and wait for a brief second while you go ahead and put that together, and you can share your screen.
So for this example, we are going to search for DUI lawyer Los Angeles. And if we scroll down, we can see all of the relevant match words are highlighted, like we discussed earlier. Then we'll check our track domains. For this hypothetical example, we're going to look at the aerlawgroup.com. And we will run this. And we can see that it's collecting the top 100 results, and then after that it'll start measuring factors. So now it's running the factor plugins. And it runs all these with parallel processing, so you'll see this counter tick down with multiples at a time quite frequently. And now it's creating the Excel file and outputting it to our output folder. And next we will open up that file and look at it. And that's the running the software portion of the demo. So let's look at that output. So now we're looking at the output file for our search term DUI lawyer Los Angeles. The first sheet is the roadmap. So since we tracked a domain and it found it in the results, it gives us this roadmap. So these are the factors that correlated strongly with rank position, and they're also the factors where our tracked domain had a deficit. And so it tells us exactly how much of each factor we need. So we can see that overall we needed 882 more matches on the page, and 713 of them needed to be in the body tag, so clearly we need to add some matches into the head tag too. There's 118 sentence matches that we're short by, so we probably need to have more long form content, and so on. So an experienced SEO can walk through this list, find a handful of things that are easy to address, knock those out right away, and then come back later for dealing with the more technical or the more expensive factors to remedy. So on the overview tab, We can see our match words. These are the relevant hits from Google. They're already in spin text form, so if you use link building tools, PBNs, or anything of that nature, these are ready to be used in those tools for varying the anchor text, things like that. We have our correlations. You'll notice up here that there's green in the columns. That means there are hidden columns and rows of data. So you can highlight those, right click and say unhide to see what's there. The software automatically hides things it thinks you probably won't need to look at. So for example, we have the page 1 average. It's hiding the page 2 average through the page 10 average because it thinks you're just targeting for number 1. But you can unhide that data if you want to see it. So our track domain is right here in result 23, and we're comparing to results 1, 2, and 3 in the page 1 average. The practical maximum is the largest factor measurement from results 1, 2, 3 in the page 1 average, whichever one is largest. The deficit is calculated by subtracting our factor measurement from the practical maximum. And the roadmap is simply the deficits that are calculated. We have the overall maximum, so if you want to tune for that, you can. That's the maximum value across all 100 results, but that's usually overkill for ranking on page 1. We also provide the charts for every factor. So if you want to see the correlation, so here we are from page 10 going towards page 1 here, we see that the average factor measurement for this factor trends upward. And the correlation coefficients are negative. That's because correlation coefficients describe the slope of the trend line for your factor. And so this would be a negative slope. If we had a positive correlation coefficient, it would mean the more of this factor you have, the worse you rank. So bad factors have positive correlation coefficients, and good factors have negative correlation coefficients, typically. So we have all the charts. These are very helpful. We have the zones report. So in the overview, we were showing the match counts by the factor and result position in Google. That's kind of the layout of the data. So in the zones charts, we're showing the match counts by zone and match type. So it's a pivot of the data where the factors have match counts. So we show you the part of the page, the zone, the headings, the title, and underline tags. So those would be zones. And then the match type, exact matches, and then the match counts. So it's a different way of looking at the data. And this is a great view of the data if you're trying to establish basic policy across a whole website. So you can look at a number of keywords that represent your space and come up with the policies. Headings should have these kinds of match counts and this type of match, and title should be like this, and the description should be like that. So if you're trying to establish SEO guidelines, this is a great view of the data. We have LSI keywords, so we're the only tool that correlates the presence of LSI keywords on a page with rank position, and we tell you which words appear to influence the rankings the most. We also give you the standard LSI metrics with that as well. And then, of course, we have a snapshot of the search results at the time the data was collected. So if anything changes, you can look back and see, this is different from today, and you can understand what was in which position. So that's the overview of the output.
Wow, Ted, that's amazing. It's amazing that you're able to provide that kind of data and a wealth of data in literally a matter of minutes. And so obviously, for somebody who might be a real SEO expert, they might already be able, after your short demonstration, to be able to differentiate between what your software is able to provide versus what other companies might or other resources might be offering out there. And so Ted, as obviously the lead developer and the founder and creator of this SEO tool, How would you say your software is different, better, or unique than the competition? I mean, couldn't people find this SEO or a similar SEO service or product elsewhere out on the marketplace?
Well, I'm pretty sure that 5 years from now, that yes, they'll be able to find solutions like this everywhere. But what makes us different is I don't know of any tool on the market right now that measures over 520 factors in near real time for your specific keywords. Since we're not a platform like many of the other solutions out there, we're not competing as a platform. So you don't have to quit your platform or run redundant platforms. So we're desktop software that solves a niche problem that the platforms don't address. Because we're not a platform, your data is private. It's on your computer. You can share or not share it at your own discretion. We don't see what you search. We don't see your results. So it's discreet. This tool is great for costing out SEO work because you can see exactly how much tuning you need to be competitive, and for the factors you're considering targeting, you can cost out the work like never before. There's never been an ability to cost out SEO work. Most people typically guess at what to charge for, certain types of work and certain types of engagements, and this brings a level of detail that hasn't existed before. And the other difference is that in only 4 minutes, you can have a blueprint for what works right now. I don't have to trust on my past experience. I can look at what works right now and go with that. Now, most of the time, what works right now matches my past experience, but I don't have to wonder. And I don't have to worry as much about the algorithm updates because I can look at the factor data from before an update and after an update, see what factors are correlating differently. And that's basically a roadmap on how to adapt to any algorithm updates.
Well, amazing insights. Thank you for sharing your words of wisdom, Ted. And as you referenced earlier in today's episode, you talked about empowering SEO experts and SEO practitioners to be able to provide better results, but without having their expertise and their wisdom to be commoditized, as maybe perhaps some other softwares on the marketplace might be doing. And so you're aiming to disrupt the entire SEO industry with this software to be able to dispel a lot of SEO myths and provide accurate data to help make sure that people can provide better resources and better services to their clients. So with that being said, doesn't that present a little bit of a conflict as your brand and your software becomes more popular, that you could end up commoditizing the efforts of an SEO expert because people might believe that they can just utilize the software themselves?
No, because you still need a gifted SEO expert to be able to look at the factor measurements, figure out which ones are worth competing for initially and which ones can wait for later. There is an art form to reading the measurement data and knowing what to do. And what we found is that when experienced SEOs get this data, it tends to be a real power tool for them. They can say, oh, we can simply do these 5 to 10 things and get a quick result. And we can come back later for the more technical changes or the more complicated factors that may take a larger investment. And because of that, SEOs are able to get very quick demonstrations of results using the tool, and they can explain why some things get results quickly and other things take longer or take more investment. And having that clarity and being able to demonstrate that really empowers the SEO to give good advice and to rationalize how things will work to their clients.
Awesome. Thanks for those insights, Ted. And so with your new CORA SEO software that's basically able to determine and correlate the top over 520 factors that might be or that are influencing Google search engine results, who is the ideal client or customer for your software? Is this for anybody who's trying to practice SEO?
No, it's a technical tool. You need to be an advanced SEO to really utilize this. It's not for beginners, but everybody's going to want it. But you really need to be technical. You need to have some analytical skills. If you're overwhelmed by Excel spreadsheets, then this is not the tool for you.
Well, that's amazing, Ted. Thank you for sharing that with our audience today. And so, Ted, a lot of our people may want to know, with your years of experience, 30 plus years in programming, SEO, being there at the very beginning of the launch of the internet, having worked at Microsoft, they may want to know, like what kind of awards or accolades or achievements have you been able to earn over that history of time that might lend confidence into why your new core SEO software is going to disrupt the SEO industry?
Well, with my past technology companies, I was nominated for Best New Technology by PC Magazine at Comdex. I shared the stage with Microsoft that year. I have a patent in internet crawling technology, and I've gotten other awards as well. With respect to this current company, the company is still very young. But earlier this year, I was the runner-up for Best of Show at the White Hat versus Black Hat SEO conference. And I expect to get more awards as we go.
Well, congratulations on your past success sharing the stage with such notable companies as Microsoft, and having won the U.S. patent that you were awarded. That's amazing. Not many people are able to get that kind of patent on technology. And so being the founder of SEO Tool Lab, and someone decides that, hey, I would love to have an unfair competitive advantage in the SEO industry, and decides to make the investment into your CORA SEO software, what kind of experience can someone expect once they start using your tool as it pertains to, support, training, and making sure that they can utilize the tool for its maximum benefit?
Well, we offer free video tutorials, so you don't need to buy the product to go through all the documentation for it, so that's available from our website. Generally, the experience people get with support is we offer email support, and I'm also a member of some of the most noteworthy SEO mastermind groups, so Semantic Mastery and the Search Intelligence Agency. So people can usually ping me directly, either through email or via those groups. Typically, there's not too much support needed. Oftentimes, once people go through the tutorials, if their website's already indexed by Google, they're off to the races.
Well, awesome. And so another question, a corollary question on this, Ted, is that let's say someone does make that investment, they do become a new core SEO software customer. Can they expect like instantaneous results, like magic push button results as a result of using your software? And do you offer any kind of guarantee that they're going to be able to accomplish, any goal that they have as it relates to SEO or search engine optimization?
No, there's no guarantee because the software only delivers the measurements. So it's factual data. There's no rocket science or magic baked into it. It's just the facts on the ground. And as such, it's kind of like a tape measure. So you don't get guarantees on your tape measure other than the fact that they give you the facts properly. And the craftsmanship is still in, what you design into the website and how you choose to tune and optimize the pages. The power is still with the SEOs. What you get are better informed SEOs who know if they're investing their time in an area where they have a deficit or if they're over-investing in areas where they've already surpassed all the competition. Having that data helps keep your SEOs on track to delivering better and better results. So the turnarounds we typically see are that if a website is already healthy, already indexed, being frequently visited by Googlebot, usually those people can see a turnaround and ranking improvements in just a matter of days. But with that, not all keywords are equal. So somebody trying to go from number 2 to number 1 might have a much more difficult time than someone trying to go from page 7 to page 2. So those two challenges are very different, and the degree of tuning that's required can be very different. So it's still largely dependent upon your competition and the keywords you've chosen.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Ted. And so obviously with your new CORA SEO software, you've been able to literally run scientific data research on literally, I don't know, maybe tens, hundreds, maybe even thousands or tens of thousands of different, search engine queries on Google's platform. And so a lot of people are saying that, there's certain things that are best practices, basic common SEO advice that everybody should adhere to based on SEO recommendations of experts in the industry, perhaps even things that Google announces from their own blogs. So as someone who has some amazing scientific data at their disposal, obviously correlating over 520 factors, Ted, maybe I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. Would you mind sharing with our audience maybe some things that you found that are counterintuitive or basically directly contradict what some top SEO experts are saying that are best practices? I mean, can you share some insider SEO secrets here with our audience, Ted?
Oh boy, we're going to start the fights today. Yeah, I absolutely can. There's a lot of surprises that you'll find in the data once you start taking measurements. One, for example, is that when you hear people say, oh, your content needs to be 1,000 words long. Well, that's probably never going to be true for your keyword. It might be true for their keyword. But odds are that's either nowhere near enough or way too much. The odds of you accurately guessing where competitive parity is for any one factor is fairly remote. There are only a small number of factors that I can typically do that with a reasonable amount of certainty. For the most part, things like how many keyword matches you need in certain zones of the page and stuff like that can only be measured for your keyword, and you have to compare to your competitors for that keyword. So the general broad advice that's out there is all largely incorrect, and the only way you can get those correct answers is to measure. Some interesting things that have come to light are the notion that if you use your keyword matches too much on a page, that eventually that hurts you. And that's definitely true in the manual penalty sense. But according to the data, we find pages that have thousands of keyword matches on page 1, and they're not algorithmically taken out of the search results. So the notions that like the algorithm handles keyword stuffing and it doesn't work anymore, well, those things tend to not be true when you start looking at the data. The important thing is that isn't a blank check to go and keyword stuff, is that there's a way to do it properly so you don't scare your visitors. And there are certain zones on the page where it's effective and many zones on the page where it isn't. And there's always the looming threat of a manual penalty. And if Google had this all algorithmically solved out, there would be no need to have human beings manually penalizing it. The algorithm would take care of it. But it's not. It's still a manual penalty. So we see interesting things like that all the time. There's probably 100 of these types of things.
Oh, well, amazing. So basically, your software has been able to determine that some of the best practices that are out there are contrary to what your scientific data is showing across literally hundreds of search results or maybe even thousands of Google search results. So incredible insights, Ted. So next question is, let's say an entrepreneur, as you're attempting to disrupt the SEO industry, or a small business owner comes across your CORA SEO software, and they realize they're not SEO experts. They don't want to necessarily learn the art or science of SEO. And someone wants to be able to utilize your software. How do you help them make that connection, or can you help somebody who doesn't have this SEO experience but able to help them to use the tool? Do you have any resources that you can recommend to those people?
Well, if you're not an SEO, if you're a business and you don't have expert SEO skills in-house, among your team, I mean, you got to reach out to somebody with that skills. So, I can definitely make referrals to SEOs, but the ideal answer to that is you need to find an SEO you trust, and you need to tell them that you would like to do data-driven SEO and that you're interested in this type of tool and this type of data. And so I would recommend empowering the SEOs you want to work with to use this tool set to get you that advantage you're after.
Fantastic. And what about, Ted, the individual or the company that is a relative newbie or novice at the art and science of search engine optimization, and someone wants to be able to become more proficient, maybe become an advanced practitioner of SEO? Do you offer at your company any sort of SEO training? And if not, do you have any resources or entities or organizations that you can recommend that an SEO practitioner could enhance their skill set?
Well, there are definitely some advantageous shortcuts. So anybody that's trying to become a master in SEO will probably learn faster than they otherwise would if they joined a mastermind group like the Search Intelligence Agency or Semantic Mastery. These groups have hundreds of industry experts that are a part of their forums and producing content and training materials and making advice and recommendations. And they tend to be for the purpose of SEO, but the advice they offer tends to go far beyond that. So among their ranks are, successful businesses with in-house SEOs, marketing agencies. You get the famous SEOs who go on the speaking tours, and just being able to ask a question to say, hey, I'm about to do this to my website. Let me ask 150 experts all at once. Is that a good idea before I do it? It's immensely valuable. So these groups, these mastermind groups, are fantastic ways to learn quickly, to get expert support in SEO, and usually at a very affordable rate. The hard and easy answer, the hard way is to take measurements, to do it all by hand, to take the factor measurement data, put it in a spreadsheet, and plot a chart. Then you look at that chart and you say, well, what do I need to do to be competitive on that graph? The easy way is to get some software that takes all the pain out of taking those measurements and plotting those charts and figuring out those deficits. And so I would say that, the best way ultimately is to be taking those empirical measurements and to be doing the science, to be doing data-driven SEO.
Fantastic. And if you're just joining us here today, we're here talking to the founder of SEO Tool Lab, an ex-Microsoft programmer, as a matter of fact, Ted Kubaitis, who has developed a new CORA SEO software that is able to determine over 500 factors that influence Google search engine rankings. And so being that you're looking to disrupt the SEO industry with your software, Ted, do you think perhaps that this is maybe not the best time to be able to have this brand new technology with all the recent technological advances that Google has made over the last few years, the tremendous resources they have, their rank brain, the artificial intelligence, all this amazing, capital. As a matter of fact, there's been droves of SEO experts who've actually left the industry because they don't believe that they'll be able to compete in the SEO world. So how would you respond to the claim that some SEO people are making that, well, SEO is dying, and what do you see the future of SEO being? And why are you so excited to be able to disrupt the industry?
Yes, SEO is dead. Get out now. No, I'm joking. But it's an arms race. SEO is an arms race. Any SEO that works, that allows, an arbitrary website to change its ranking at will be deemed black hat and will be outlawed by Google, and there will be penalties associated with that. So ultimately, Google just wants you to focus on content, and professional SEOs need to help plumbers and dentists who are not content marketers to be able to succeed. So there's an arms race that will always go on, because not every website and every business is suited for being a content publishing company. So because of that, there's Moore's Law. And as computers get faster and cheaper, being able to measure more and more factors and closer to real time will allow us to be able to have an advantage on that arms race. And when I compare what it takes for me to update my software and to add 50 more factors versus what it takes Google to make a change and redeploy all of Google, over time with Moore's Law, that's not a race Google can win. But with that said, they're switching to AI. Computers are going to get smarter, so it's an arms race. Right now, I think SEOs have the advantage to being able to understand what's going on in search today. And I think measuring data, correlating the factors, and understanding how you're different than your competition is a tremendously valuable tool.
Awesome, amazing, and thank you for helping to equip the SEO experts to be able to do their best to provide honest, legitimate services for their clientele. And so, Ted, as the founder of SEO Tool Lab, obviously you've developed this new CORA SEO software technology that is able to, provide amazing insights in a matter of minutes. What's the future of SEO Tool Lab, and do you have any new products in the pipeline or any new technology or software that you can reveal or prelude to in the coming future?
Yeah, we are thinking about creating a text editor that, as you type and modify content, it can use the output from CORA to let you know how the deficits are changing in real time based on how you edit that content. We are very excited for that solution.
Well, awesome. Well, I would imagine that your current customer base would be looking forward to that and anticipating that as well. And so as we wrap up today's episode of Social News Interviews, Ted, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Well, I'd like to thank you for bringing me on the show. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. And I invite people to reach out to me through my website, SEOToolLab.com. We have a contact form. So if you'd like demonstrations of the technology that are relevant to your business, we can arrange that. We're here to help SEOs really get advantage and achieve the results that they want to achieve. So please, reach out to us if you're interested or if you have questions.
Awesome. Well, again, Ted, thank you for being a guest on today's edition of Social News Interviews.
Thank you.
And for our audience today, thank you for engaging and attending today's edition. We hope that you got some amazing insights from an amazing individual who is looking to disrupt the search engine optimization industry with his new tool, the CORA SEO software. So once again, thank you for attending today's edition of Social News Interview, and we'll see you at the next episode. Thanks so much, and have an amazing day.